The story of the fabled Hollywood Bandit appears to be just that, a story. One of fast-moving pursuits, gunfights between cops, clever disguises, relentless law enforcement, double lives, ornate tree houses, and thrill-seekers. A screenplay being penned before our very eyes. And that is just the way that Scott Scurlock wanted it to be. Starting in 1992, Scurlock would become the most prolific bank robber in Washington state, hitting roughly 20 banks in the Seattle area in just 4 years, and making off with over $2 million. Scurlock, who the FBI dubbed the Hollywood Bandit, used a variety of ornate masks to conceal his identity during his robberies, leaving few traces of his true identity. And it wouldn't be until one fabled bank robbery in 1996 that a string of good fortune would finally come to a rather abrupt end. Hello, everybody. It is Dom.
And Amy.
And welcome to this week's episode of Horror House. Thank you for joining us this week. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being you. Thank you for being amazing. And just know that if we could choose to have anybody listen to our podcast, then it would absolutely be you. Amy, obviously we spoke before we came on, and you are a bit plaguey, but other than suffering from a bit of the bubonic, how are you doing, my love?
Yeah. I'm alive. Yes, I am
She's
a bit
alive.
ill. I'm a bit ill. So apologies in advance to those listening on audio only. You'll be more likely to pick up all of my sniffles. And what I'm actually assured is quite a sexy husk to my voice. So yes. Thank you for that. I needed to hear that today. But yeah, other than that, I'm all right. I think I picked this up because I went on Friday to the Globe to see Much Ado About Nothing.
Yes, you did.
Because, spoiler alert, I'm actually quite into Shakespeare because I'm a bit of a nerd. And it was brilliant and I had such a good night. I really did. But I think being in that space with all of those people in very close proximity to a lot of strangers, which isn't something that I'm a fan of doing anyway, it meant that I was exposed to quite a lot of plague-type germs. So, yes, I am mildly dying. But I'm dedicated to the podcast, and I'm ready to discuss a bank robber. We don't do bank robbers here. What's going on?
It did look like you had a very nice evening at the Globe. I'm also surprised that you didn't say that I am making you record, forcing you to do it against your will. You're being very kind on that front.
You told me if I said that, you'd hurt me, so... Please help. Please help me.
I'll come to Carlo and I'll punch you in the boob. I don't know.
Yeah,
I won't want to punch you in the boob, actually.
I think,
that's harsh.
If we're being completely honest, us and our listeners know who would win in this fight. But if you want to come and give it a go, then be my guest. I'm down.
Oh, dear. No, I'm good.
Okay, yeah, that's
to be fair, Tank would Tank would probably
Tank could take both of us
as well.
Yeah.
So it just ends up like beating both of us up, and you're just like, Tank, you're supposed to be helping me, and Tank's like, hey, I do what I want.
I'm my own thing.
I fight who I want to fight when I want to fight them.
Absolutely.
You don't own me.
Unless it comes to food or pet insurance, in which case I do.
No, true. Plus, he doesn't have to fight. He can just embarrass you by taking your underwear off the laundry thing anyway.
Yeah. I'm glad that you've reminded everyone of that. For those who don't know that story, my dog, when he was a puppy, I answered the door to, I think it was an Amazon delivery man or something like that.
I think it was, yeah.
Or maybe
it was a delivery man.
It was a delivery man, and the dog came running out of the lounge with one of my thongs in his mouth, and I had to wrestle the dog in front of the postman for my thong. So thanks for bringing that
Amazing.
up again. I just managed to blank that out. But I'm
No,
glad that
that's all right.
it's good for me to be humbled occasionally.
Yeah, that's it. You were running your mouth a little bit there, Ames. I had
Yeah,
to bring you down.
it had to bring me back to
a
earth.
little bit.
Yeah, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Thank you for that.
So, do you have any true crime news for us this week, Ames?
As it happens, I do.
What?
And definitely not because it was a
Ahead of time.
pre-planned part of the show. I do. It is a
please
US
say
one.
it's a
not
little
Florida.
bit more lighthearted than last week's.
It's a little bit more lighthearted, and it's not from Florida. So
Oh my
we're
God.
good.
Whoa, that's 2 weeks of non-Florida.
I know,
Amazing.
right? Non-Florida. Okay, so funeral worker, quote, took a fancy to dead man's sex doll, so tried to smuggle it in a
What?
body bag.
What? Are you sure this isn't Florida?
It's definitely not Florida. I checked. But it's pretty
Whoa.
fucked, right?
Wow.
A funeral worker was
Wow.
caught allegedly trying to smuggle a life-size sex doll out of a dead man's home using a body bag. Ryan Smith, 42, and a co-worker were sent to Rock Creek Apartments in Omaha, Nebraska on October 6th to collect the body of a deceased man, state recent court filings. Near the body on the bed was a real life-size version of an adult female, a Sarpy County Sheriff's deputy wrote in an arrest affidavit obtained by the Smoking Gun. Both males that came to collect the body made comments about the sex doll found on location. Smith and his co-worker entered the unit along with law enforcement officers who, after they exited, locked the home. But later the same day, Smith allegedly returned to the apartment with a body bag and told the complex staff that he came on behalf of the sheriff's office to take the sex doll inside for, quote, evidentiary purposes. After allowing Smith to enter,
a dirty bastard.
a member of the management discovered that the front door of the dead man's unit deadbolted and latched with the chain across the door. The complex manager, upon confronting Smith, found that, quote, his shirt was untucked and his pants were in disarray.
That's a good word. His pants were in disarray.
In disarray. And now we come to my favourite part of this story, and to be honest, the clincher as to why I chose it as our true crime update. Police said the sex doll was, quote, sticky to the touch.
Oh, that's disgusting.
That's in the police report. Lovely.
That's fucking grim.
Delightful. A district court judge determined that Smith unlawfully entered the apartment with a body bag, which is indicative based on circumstantial evidence that he had the intent to take the sex doll. Which...
That's...
Yeah, sure. He's been charged with burglary, criminal trespassing, and tampering with physical evidence, and is out on bond awaiting his next court date. So, yeah. There you go.
It's not often that I'm left speechless by something, but that was...
Can you imagine? I mean, to be fair, it's kind of like one of the more victimless crimes that we've spoken about. Like, you know, it's not terrible. Like, the sex doll's just going to, go to waste if it's left.
I mean, it's not the worst.
Not that I'm condoning having sex with other people's sex dolls without them knowing, but...
Yeah. Plus, it's...
Maybe we should do some campaigning for sex doll
Were
rights.
Were there no sex dolls that belonged to someone who wasn't dead?
I mean, he could have just bought his own sex doll, I suppose.
Exactly.
That one wasn't being used.
Literally could have gone to, like, some sort of adult store and got a sex doll. Why did he have to, like, go to someone's... That's insane. That is
It's
insane.
a bit weird, isn't it? I wonder if it would have been as interesting a story if he'd have just had sex with one of his other objects. Like, because it is just a thing, isn't it? Like, it's not anything really.
True.
So what if it gone in and just, like, I don't know, had sex with his toaster or something? I don't know why toaster was what was in my head, but...
Why toaster?
It's got a slot. I think that's why. I think that's the only reason. I was like, hey, if it's a 4 slot, you're practically having a 5-sim, so...
That would be a story as well, wouldn't it? You go into, like...
Wouldn't it?
Like, the emergency ward, And they're just like, what happened? And you're just like, I've already explained about the toaster. So if the next question is, why have you got a toaster?
On that.
Look, just take it off, doctor, please.
Do you know what?
Don't question this.
I've got a family member that used to work in A&E, and anytime you say to them, "Oh, tell us a good A&E story," like tell us something, a cool story that happened, thinking you're going to get like a life-saving or a life-changing, like a feel-good story. It's always about things people come in with up their arse. And some of the things that people have in their arseholes or feel the need to put into their arseholes. No, I'm not one to judge. I'm not one to say who can or can't put things in their bum holes. Like, you do you. If you want to put something up your bum, be my guest. But let's be reasonable. Yeah, there's some things that just aren't supposed to go up there. The TV remote. No.
TV remote, no.
No.
A toy car. No.
Toy car, no. Although, was it Jackass?
Yeah, it was. It was the first Jackass.
Yeah.
No.
Various fruits and vegetables. Anything that's going to rot, don't put it up there. I don't feel like I should be needing to go over this, but apparently a lot of people get A&E with things stuck up their bum holes, so someone needs to say it.
Yeah, exactly. And, this is Backdoor is Best Amy's PSA. Don't put things up your bum that don't belong up your bum.
Hang on. I'm not saying it's best. I'm just saying it's not strictly an exit. How have we got here?
Yeah, that's in... I don't know. That's
Me
insane.
Apparently all roads lead to anal.
All roads lead to anal. Yeah, that was a hell of... That poor, like, investigator or whoever that had to be the one that picked up the doll and realised it was sticky.
Oh, don't. That, honestly, I was reading that article and I was like, oh, this is quite funny. This would be quite good for the show. And then it got to the sex doll was, quote, sticky to the touch. And I was like, done deal. Has to be included. That just didn't need to be said, did it? Like, as part of the investigation, that just did not need to be said. But we have to get it written down.
Was this...
There's an investigator there. Like, I want it on record. This doll is sticky to the touch. All right? Get it in the notes. Book him.
The lead detective's like, was this really that important to include in the report? And they're like, look, I take my paperwork seriously. All right, everything goes in the report.
This dude's a sicko, and I need proof.
Wow, what you did well on that one, Ames. Good lord.
Thanks.
Thank you.
It was funny. As soon as I merged my two search histories, it's incredible what comes up.
Oh dear. So. Moving on to something a little bit less disgusting than sticky sex dolls.
Yeah.
Have you heard of our man Scott Scurlock before?
No, never. But he sounds like a superhero. Scott Scurlock.
He does, actually.
He sounds great.
He does.
But never heard of him. And you would think that he'd be a bit more... Well, I'm saying he's not well known because I don't know him. Maybe it is well known, but like 20 bank robberies is a lot of bank robberies.
It's a lot, and he, over $2 million in this 4-year span is highly impressive. Like you couldn't do, like you couldn't get anywhere near that amount of money. I don't think if you're a bank robber now. There's too many tools that banks have to stop
It's not like the good old days of bank robbing, where you just go in with a sawn off, get them to open the safe, and go on with your life. You have to actually, have passwords and shit, which is upsetting.
Bring back the good old days of train robberies and bank robberies.
Yeah,
that's what I say.
Yeah, I think I'd go full outlaw if I had the option.
Yeah, I'd
definitely do that. I can ride a horse.
I would.
I can shoot a gun. I've basically got all the equipment needed. I have a low sense of morality.
Got everything you need.
Let's go. Let's rob some banks.
You've got the lingo down as well.
Do I?
Yippee-ki-yay.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. I don't think anyone's ever said that cowboy-wise. No. But I'm bringing it back.
And
I'm bringing it back.
your cowboy like go-to term like would have to be if you ain't yeehin, then we ain't yahin.
Yeah.
Or like when you're about to like
cowboy. I'm kind of sort of weirdly dressed a little bit like. Well, no, not really. I've kind of got like chaps on.
okay.
Not really.
You're
I'll stand
there.
up. Hang on. I'll show the camera. Like I've got like this jobby on.
Oh, they're kind. Yeah,
I
they're
feel
kind
a little
of
bit
like
cowboyish.
Yeah.
If I had the hat, I could pretty much be there, right? Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
I don't look at all like a cowboy, but with the right clothing, I can get in on the part.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm assuming he's a cowboy. He may not be.
When you kill someone, or like take a bounty, you would have to be like, you've yeed your last har.
You've yeed your last har. I don't think I would say that because I'd want to say something cool.
Hey, I think that was quite. Shut up.
I think it was definitely a thing. Yeah. I tell you what, if we do it together, I'll do all of the the killing, the robbing, the talking.
So what am I doing?
The shooting, the horse riding. I'll do that. You can wait, bear with. I'll think of something. I'll think of something for you.
Okay. I'll just be in the saloon.
Feed the horse.
Feed the horse.
Right? It's an important job. Horses need feeding.
I'll bribe the local law enforcement.
At the end of every episode, because obviously it's now a TV show. At the end of every episode, you can do your one joke, and then that's where it will end.
Okay, that's fine. As long as I get like the line in somewhere, then I'm fine. Whatever.
There'll be 2 wanted posters. There'll be mine, which is like murder, robbery, arson, like all of the fucking cool shit, Grand Theft Auto, all of that, and then there'll be yours for jokes. Equal punishment.
My bounty's bigger than yours, though.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You've caused way more suffering than I have.
Also, Grand Theft Auto in the Old West. How would that be?
Well, no, because I'm talking about today. Not. Oh, yeah, actually, no, that's a very good point. Grand Theft Horse?
Horso.
There you go, perfect. Grand Theft Horso.
Well, how did we get onto this?
I don't know. So it's a tangent. I apologise.
No, it's fine. We've had a few of them, but it's fine. We love a good tangent. So I had never heard of Scott Scurlock before. This wasn't my original case that I was going to do. I was outlining something else, and I was getting really annoyed because finding information on it, which is like not some media made up bullshit, is very difficult. So I was like, you know what, I'm just going to find something else. And I can't even remember how this guy came up, but he did. And I looked into it and I was like, oh, this sounds very interesting. We've not talked about a bank robber yet. So I was like, yes, let's write this one out. So it's only taken us 100+ episodes to talk about someone who robs banks.
Yeah, we got there eventually.
But we got there in the end.
Yeah.
We got there in the end. So yes, are you ready to dive in to the life and crimes of the Hollywood Bandit, Ames?
Yeehaw.
Yeehaw indeed. So born in 1955, William Scott Scurlock grew up in Virginia. His mother was an elementary school teacher and his father served as a Baptist minister. So he was a genuine son of a preacher man.
Nice.
Scurlock was the... Yeah, right. I can bring out the one-liners.
I can reference things.
Scurlock was the only boy in the family and one of 3 children. So surprisingly, considering his father was a Baptist minister, Scurlock was raised in an environment that was devoid of boundaries and discipline, despite his family's strong religious beliefs, which prevented him from ever really developing a moral compass. And I don't mean that in the sense of he didn't know right from wrong. He just didn't particularly care. about about the difference between right from wrong. His personality would be characterized by acquaintances as charming, personable, but also quite manipulative. And I suppose if you go in to have a career as a bank robber, you would probably need to be just a little bit manipulative.
And
Right.
charming,
And charming.
presumably.
Yeah. And personable. Like, all of those qualities, well, they make a good bank robber. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I have those. Going back to our little jaunt. Manipulative, absolutely. Charming. I have my moments.
You have your moments.
Personable, fuck no. So yeah, maybe there's a slight downfall in the bank robbing plan. But then I
Hey,
have a
2 out of
gun, so who really cares about any of that stuff?
Yeah, if you've got a gun, it doesn't matter if you're personable.
No. Oh, I'm so sorry I'm not personable. How about you look down the barrel of my gun? Am I personable now?
Yeah, exactly. Plus, 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Yeah, I'll do.
To quote
Yeah.
Meatloaf, rest in peace. So Scurlock relocated to Hawaii in 1974 to work on a tomato farm with Kevin Myers, a friend from his youth. While trekking in 1976, they both discovered a small marijuana farm.
What a thing to
And they would
discover.
return to... I know, right?
The fuck is this?
It's a farm of the weeds. Happy days. Much better than tomato farming. So yeah, they discovered a small farm of the devil's lettuce kind.
Nom nom nom.
They would nom nom nom. They would return to the farm and take several marijuana plants, which Scott
Fair.
would later sell. Though Scurlock didn't want to get into the drug trade after this, he did plant his own marijuana plants covertly on the tomato farm because he liked the easy money that he could make from it.
Nice.
However, the landlord of said tomato farm didn't share the same enthusiasm as Scott and would fire the duo upon discovering the plant on his property. Which,
Fucking square.
like, yeah, that's quite the killjoy move, but at the same time, like, I kind of see it from his point of view that he's like, okay, so I'm pretty sure I said that this isn't something that I would be cool with. Like,
Yeah.
I don't particularly want marijuana plants on my tomato farm.
Yeah, you can imagine the shipment going out wrong to, like, Tesco.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, fuck.
It,
We've sent the weed to Tesco
it reminds
again.
me. Yeah. It reminds me of like a Simpsons episode where like the family like move to a farm and grow tomatoes, and then like I think there's like a tobacco farm like next door or something. Like the tomatoes get like all tobacco-y. This is giving me those vibes.
One day I'm going to get
so-
someone to clip together and create a reel all the times you've said it reminds me of a Simpsons episode. Just to see how many of the Simpsons
It's-
episodes we've covered by accident.
It's because like the Simpsons,
Everything is a Simpsons episode.
like everything is a Simpsons episode, and they predict everything. Like I swear, I don't know what it is, but they predict everything. Everything can be brought back to a Simpsons reference. I don't know
I know.
why, but it's just a thing, I guess. So yeah, the landlord wasn't too pleased, and he would tell Scott and his friend to vamoosh off of my tomato farm and take your marijuana plant with you. Actually, no, he's probably like, you know what, keep the marijuana plant. You guys just
I'll take that. You just leave.
consider this emotional insurance
Stress
for
relief.
me. Stress relief, that's it. So following this, Mayers would move to Banff National Park in Canada, and Scurlock would leave Hawaii and move to Olympia, Washington. In 1978, Scurlock would enroll at Evergreen State College with the intention of becoming a physician. seemingly determined to walk a better path. However, this was the Hollywood Bandit after all, so this was very much a fleeting endeavor. And this is because he learned how to make crystal meth, a refined crystalline form of methamphetamine, which he could sell.
Okay.
Right.
I really
That
wasn't
came
expecting
very
this
quickly for
episode
me.
to be so drug heavy. It's like, oh, it's
very
bank
drug heavy
robbery,
at the
you know?
moment.
How could it possibly be have any twists and turns other than the banks have been robbed and suddenly we're on meth?
I like how he was like, I want to be a doctor. And then he's like, you know what? I know how to make crystal meth now.
Yeah. I tried, Mum and Dad. I
I'm
really
good.
did.
don't want to be a doctor anymore. I want to get a van, go bald, change my name to Walter White, and be a
Yeah.
crystal meth dealer.
I mean, how did you just discover that you can make it? Like, what were you trying to make?
I mean,
Oh, fuck,
I
I was trying to
think
make sugar syrup, but I've accidentally made meth again. Fuck.
Damn, looks like I'm going to have to sell this and make a lot of money. Oh, what a shame.
I pulled this really
So I
good
think I
recipe
read
for
that
slow
he-
gin, and now I'm fucking high again. Fuck you,
I think I
BBC
read
good
that he
food.
was sneaking in to the labs at the college and probably just, I don't know.
Fucking anything he found there.
But yeah, he learned how to make crystal meth. So
Fair.
for 6 years, he would attend classes at the college on and off, all the while becoming quite a major supplier of the drug trade in the Northwest. Not bad for a
Sure.
college student. In fact, he made enough money and got away with it for long enough that he was able to buy 20 acres of secluded land near Olympia that had a large barn on it, which obviously is the perfect place for a clandestine laboratory. So he's doing pretty well
Good.
so far. He's doing all right for himself.
In the meth biz, he's doing great. That he accidentally fell
See,
into.
Why didn't I drop out of secondary school and learn how to cook crystal meth? I could have been raking in the money. But
Why
no.
are they not covering drug dealer at Careers Day?
Why is algebra in the curriculum but crystal meth making is not?
Is not. Sort it out.
Where-
Jenny Leck, I know how I'm, voting. Whoever's got
You're
drug
in the,
dealing on the curriculum.
You're in the English class and they're like, cool, so we're going to be doing some English literature today. And they're just like, no, we're going to be learning how to make crystal meth because that's where the money is.
God's sake.
So it was also here on the secluded farm at the back of the property that he began construction on a 3-story, 60-foot treehouse using supplies he pilfered from surrounding lumber yards. I do have a photo, which I'll send you, Amy, of said treehouse, and it is rather impressive.
Okay.
So I've WhatsApped it to you.
Oh, God.
So
All right.
have a look. It is a impressive treehouse. Very, very
Fucking
impressive.
hell. That's insane.
Right.
Right. Why? How does the... I'm a bit confused. So we're making meth, we're training to be a doctor, and we're taking some time out of both of those things to build a 60-foot treehouse. Is that about right?
I mean, yeah, like essentially that was his...
Cool.
His what's the word I'm thinking of? His base, I guess you could say. That's pretty much where he was.
Right. I mean, why wouldn't it be?
Based.
Yeah.
Which I can see why. Like, it's a very impressive
it's
treehouse.
It's a great treehouse, but like, we need to just focus on a goal here. Like, pick a lane.
Pick a lane. You're either a treehouse maker, a crystal meth dealer, or a doctor.
Yeah.
Pick one.
Pick one. You can't be all three.
Well, if you think the outside of the treehouse was impressive, you wait until you see or hear what was on the inside of this treehouse. So Scott bragged that he and his associates would build the treehouse in only 2 weeks, working day and night, quote, due to being high on meth. I don't think that it was actually
That'll
2
happen.
weeks. I think it realistically took like a few months. I think that was a bit of a fib.
Yeah, that's not 2
from-
weeks worth of treehouse.
from Scurlock. It's not.
That treehouse has not been built in 2 weeks by men off their nut on meth.
Yeah.
There's no way.
I agree. I 100% agree.
That
So-
treehouse has more likely been built by flights of angels.
Flights of angels. They had elves.
Some elves, some
Build it
tree
for them.
elves came in.
The tree elves
Built
came
them.
in and did it all. So, as impressive as the treehouse looks on the outside, and we'll obviously put a photo of said treehouse
Yeah.
up for the YouTube viewers. The treehouse itself was described as, quote, Robin Hood land. There were endless decks with a pole access to the lower levels. The house featured 30 windows, plumbing, electricity, a functioning bathroom, a fully equipped kitchen, a fireplace, and an emergency rope using zip lines to go through the woods in case required, I guess.
In case of what? What could possibly be happening that all of these things suddenly become required? Although, to be fair, you are dealing meth.
Yeah, and I suppose maybe the popo are going to be like, that 3-story 60-foot tree house looks a little bit suspicious.
Yeah. looks a bit
Like,
odd.
if you think about it, maybe having your base be something a bit less in your face than a massive ass fucking tree house might have been a good choice.
I mean, I don't know. My mind, when I think of meth dealer, my mind doesn't essentially go to massive treehouse straight away. It goes to, crack den.
Yeah.
Inner city
true,
crack den,
true.
not middle of the forest
Yeah.
tree house or tree mansion.
I mean, fair. It would still be a bit suspicious though. Like if I was like just walking past a farm and I just saw this massive ass 3-story treehouse, I'd just be like, what's? Especially because like
I want to go in.
it probably stuck out like a sore thumb as well.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I mean, a 60-foot tree house. How big's the fucking tree is my question.
I mean, yeah, that's true. It's got to be some pretty mighty tree.
That is a major tree.
Major tree. This has now become a tree podcast. Major
Ground
trees.
control
Only trees.
to major tree.
That would be like our tagline. Put it on t-shirts.
God's sake.
Oh dear. So Scurlock would keep up his methamphetamine sales for more than 10 years, growing to be a significant drug dealer in the area and using the money he had made to support his eccentric or lavish lifestyle, I suppose you could say. He would travel extensively, had no shortage of girlfriends, and enjoyed the finest restaurants and champagne. He was known by local waitresses to always leave a $100 tip as well.
Oh, nice.
So if I imagine like there was just waitresses like fucking battle royale, like to get to his table.
Yeah.
Just like, I want that tip. Like,
Yeah, no, here's mine. That's my customer right there.
Yeah, that's it. Fucking punching each other, like dragging each other down, like walking over each other. So he was making so much of that sweet green dollar from the drug trade that he would drop out of college entirely, seeing no reason to actually stay. Which fair, there probably isn't.
I mean, yes, but also,
and
get a legal job.
Yeah, I suppose. But I guess at this point he was making enough money that he's just like, I'll be fine. Like, I don't need to be a sucker with a real job. Like, I'm good. I'm good.
mething
Crystal
it up.
meth is good. It's mething it up. And obviously at the moment for our Walter White, things were pretty peachy so far. He's got his treehouse. He's making a lot of money. He's, got a girlfriend every week. He goes to the finest restaurants.
Yeah.
Travels a lot. Like, I'm actually quite jealous of
Me
Scott
too.
at the moment. I'm not gonna lie.
Same.
Honestly. Like, yeah, right. Damn. I'm in the wrong. I'm not. Don't worry, everyone. I'm not gonna become a drug dealer. Mum, if you're listening, don't worry. I'm not gonna start learning how to cook crystal meth. It's all good.
I might. My mum doesn't
Amy
listen.
might.
It's fine. God, can you imagine if my mum listened? I've already explained. You've literally referred to me as pro backdoor this episode. Can you imagine if my mum listened? Wouldn't be great, would it?
I mean, you've said worse things.
Oh, I've said way worse.
Fine.
And honestly, I think she's just come to expect it at this point.
Probably.
I genuinely believe that if I was caught, or not even caught, like if I just went home to my mum and dad and was like, guys, I've given up the 9 to 5. Now I sell meth. I make and sell meth. They'd be like, you're a bit behind schedule, but cool.
That's amazing. That's amazing, darling. Dinner's going to be ready in half an hour.
My little entrepreneur.
Are we going to see any of these profits?
No.
I'm just putting it out there.
No, I can't make you an accessory. Sorry.
So as I say, at the moment things are going pretty good for old Scott. However, that would come to a bit of a crashing end when his primary meth dealer was killed in 1990. So
hate when that happens.
Right now he's like, God damn it!
Fuck.
Now I'm gonna have to get a real job. Oh, maybe I shouldn't have dropped out of college after all. I didn't think it through. So obviously this made him become acutely aware of how brutal and risky the drug trade is.
I'm sure this made him aware of it. Good. I'm glad something did.
Yeah. It's like, surely you would already have that knowledge. Why would it take your dealer being killed for you to be like, maybe the drug trade is not the thing that I should be in.
I'm starting to think the drug trade is dangerous.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe the firebomb at my treehouse yesterday is linked to the fact that my meth dealer was killed. He would stop producing crystal meth, and while he had kept cash reserves buried on his property, which would carry him over until 1992, to maintain his ostentatious lifestyle, he obviously needed another way of getting money, getting a lot of it, and getting it quick. So naturally, he turned to robbing banks, as you do. So he selected his target, and he enlisted his close college friend Mark John Biggins as his backup inside the bank. And on June the 25th, 1992, Scurlock would rob his first bank with Biggins. They entered the C First Bank in Seattle's Madison Park neighborhood. Scurlock disguised with theater makeup and a prosthetic nose, which,
of course,
you know those like disguise kits you get where it would have like the glasses, the really bushy eyebrows, and the really big nose. That's what I'm picturing.
Yeah,
that's what he's like. This will be fine.
It is foolproof. It's been the disguise of generations. So how can it possibly go wrong?
Dear. No, that is very true. And Biggins would wear a Ronald Reagan mask.
Obviously.
That also seems like the go-to bank robber disguise. It seems like a Ronald Reagan mask is used quite a lot in bank robberies. I don't know why. But I mean, I suppose it covers your whole face, so
yeah, true.
No one's really going to know who you are. Not like Scurlock here. It's just some glasses and a big nose.
I've got a new nose.
So the two robbers would take control of the room very quickly, remaining quiet, composed, but also quite menacing. And then things would go south, and they would go south quite quickly as well. As their getaway vehicle, the two had intended to steal a car from a bank employee, which they did. But Biggins, bless him, was just a bit nervous. And in fact, he was so nervous that he would flood the engine. After that, they had to flee on foot, dodging ferocious dogs as they ran through a golf course, leaving stunned spectators and players in their wake. Which is... It's quite the visual, because all I can picture is them running across this golf course with the Benny Hill music in the background.
Yeah. I mean, it's not the best plan, really. Like, you should probably have your own vehicle. But yeah, if you're going to steal someone else's, don't flood the engine.
Yeah.
Don't worry, Biggins. It happens to a lot of guys.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't feel sorry for someone who's robbing a bank, but when I read that he flooded the engine, part of me was just a little bit like, oh, Biggins.
Oh, Biggins. Bless. It's okay, buddy.
Oh,
it's a lot
bless
of
your heart.
we can try again. Don't worry.
It happens to the best of us, buddy.
Take 20
Don't
minutes.
worry. So, in spite of this, just a bit of a fiasco, nobody was hurt, and Scurlock would leave the bank with around $20,000. Which, considering how wrong this went, that's actually not too bad, to be honest.
Very good.
Understandably, however, Biggins didn't particularly enjoy his first bank robbing experience. He was like, you know what? I don't think this is for me.
Yeah, I'm not good at this.
I'm not great. I flooded the engine. Like, I got pelted with golf balls as we were running across the golf course. Like, yeah, this isn't great. I'm gonna go work a 9 to 5.
Probably best, Biggins. Probably best.
Scurlock, however, was the exact opposite and loved the thrill and the adrenaline rush that he felt. So, robbing banks would become his new profession. On Friday, August the 14th, 1992, in quite the big, bold move, he would brazenly walk into the very same bank that he robbed a few weeks earlier, alone this time, while brandishing a handgun, and walked away with $8,124.
Why would you? Why? Why would you go back to the same place?
He had a knack for doing the same bank more than once.
Okay.
I don't know why. But yeah, he just was like, I'm going to go back to the bank and get some more money. His threatening mannerisms and demeanor remained mostly unchanged from the first heist. And once again, nobody was hurt in the robberies. As far as I can tell, he didn't use his gun in any of the 17 or 18 robberies.
Wow.
So yeah, he used his charismatic, personable, manipulative traits, I suppose, to get the money. Due to Scurlock's threatening robbery tactics, the FBI would become interested in the crimes and would nickname him the, quote, take charge robber, which really isn't as good as the Hollywood Bandit, to be honest. The FBI kind of dropped the ball on that one.
I know which one I'd rather be called if I was going to pick one.
Yeah, right.
The take charge. What was it? The take charge robber.
Take charge robber.
Yeah, no, that's crap.
It just seems
unimaginative.
Just so unimaginative.
Yeah,
like it really, really does.
Like, it's not even really true.
But
no. Try harder.
No. I know that your main job is to actually like apprehend quite dangerous people, but also your naming skills, they're bad. Do better.
Yeah, leave it to the journalists. You can just, sit back and drink your coffee.
Leave it to the journalists. So over the next 3 months, Scurlock would rob 4 more banks in Seattle, with the final robbery during this spree taking place on November the 19th, 1992, at the Hawthorne Hills branch of the Seafirst Bank, which netted A cool $252,000,
Nice.
bringing the take for 1992 alone to over 300,000.
Dang.
So, damn indeed. Like 300,000, you could probably live off that for the year, couldn't you?
Yeah.
Like you'd be like, well, you know, we can chill out for the rest of 1992. We can take it easy in our treehouse.
I'm going to take a wild guess here and say that that's what he did.
He did take a little break. A little break. By now, the police and the FBI were quite familiar with Scurlock's theatrical disguises and style, gleaned from witnesses and bank surveillance cameras. So they changed his moniker to, quote, Hollywood. The media, however, would much prefer the moniker Hollywood Bandit. So better from the FBI. Better. Hollywood Bandit is better than Hollywood, but Hollywood is better, much better than Take Charge Robber.
Yeah, way better. We're stepping up every time.
Yeah. So Scott Scurlock had robbed banks for more than $300,000 by 1993. He would keep living like a lost boy on his strange treehouse property in the interim, telling those who asked what his income was or where his income came from, that it came from construction or carpentry work. A passionate outdoor enthusiast, Scurlock also seemed to consider himself sort of a contemporary Robin Hood, allocating a significant portion of his stolen funds to organizations that supported the environment, of all things.
Nice.
So he's got a soft heart.
Good. Yeah. I mean, that's something.
It's like one redeemable trait so far, is that he gave a bit to charity.
I quite like him. I think he's quite cool.
I mean, no, I'll go more into it in the end, but like there is a part of me that sort of like, you know what, I kind of like Scott. He's kind of a bit of a character.
He's chill.
You know, I can dig him a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
So noble, obviously, giving money to, you know, a environmental cause, maybe. But it also meant that after spending $322,870 within a year, Scurlock would obviously kind of have to go back to his favorite profession and start robbing some more banks. And that's exactly what he did. He had enlisted a childhood friend, Stephen Paul Myers, to help him launder the stolen money through numerous trips to gambling casinos in Las Vegas. And now he wanted him to be his sidekick in the bank robberies that were being planned. Myers would refuse to help with actually robbing the banks, which is kind of wise. However, he did say that he would become a lookout, listening to police scanners and looking out for law enforcement, which... fair. I don't know if I would prefer to actually be robbing the banks or be the lookout.
I don't think that's necessarily better.
No, it's not.
Like maybe less pressure.
Less pressure.
To deal with people.
Yeah.
It's not. Yeah. But in the eyes of the law, maybe not better.
But yeah, you're still robbing a bank.
Yeah. You're still a key part of this robbery.
Inside. As I said earlier, he had a knack for hitting up the same targets, and he would select the same First Bank in Hawthorne Hills from the year before, where he obviously made the $250,000 score. Observing the bank for a few days, Scurlock and Myers took action on Wednesday, November the 24th, 1993. Everything went smoothly. For all accounts during the heist, although they only made out with $98,571. Only made out.
Barely worth it.
Chump change.
Yeah.
Like, barely worth robbing the bank in the first place. With the exception of $5,000, which he very generously gave to Myers in exchange for his cooperation, Scurlock would bury all of the spoils on his land. Yeah, 5,000 seems so low.
Yeah, it seems so little.
I'd be like, Scott, mate, we just took 98. In fact, we not only did we take 98,000, like last year you took over 300,000, and I'm getting 5.
Yeah. Although he's not actually in the bank,
Excuse me?
he's just the lookout. So how would he know what he came out with? Maybe he came out and was like, "Yeah, mate, I only got 9K, but you were a really important part of this operation, so I'm going to give you 5 because you did the majority of the work. All I did was just go in and rob the place. You were the brains of this operation, so you get a bigger share." And then he's just strolling off with the other, 90 odd thousand, being like, "Sucker."
Yeah. So, in 1994, Scurlock and Myers stole a total of $263,599 from a total of 5 banks, 2 in Portland and 3 in Seattle. The bandits also attacked 2 banks in January 1995. On January the 18th, Scurlock stole $11,924,000 from the First Interstate Bank in Wallingford. However, he had to leave the stolen money behind after a dye pack detonated, obviously turning the money red and rendering it pretty useless. Occupational hazards of bank robbery.
Yeah. It'll happen.
Yeah, exactly. Unfazed, Scurlock would return to the Madison Park branch of the Seafirst Bank. And yes, that's a bank that he's already hit twice before. And made off with $252,466, enough to last him the remainder of the year. Hitting the same bank 3 times is quite the flex.
It is ballsy.
For me, at least.
It is,
That is
once
unbelievable.
takes guts. Twice, you
Right.
cray. 3 times, dude, come on. What are you doing?
He's like, Myers is like, "Scott, there are other banks that we can rob." And Scott's like, "No, we got to go back. We got to go back again.
I gotta go back. I just can't get over this bank.
we got to hit a third."
It's the bank of my life. I must see it again.
So, while Scurlock proved himself to be a quite unusually talented bank robber, the FBI was slowly closing in on the Hollywood Bandit. And it wouldn't be long until Scurlock's career as a bank robber was about to come to a very, very swift end. But before we get to that, I think now is a good time to take a little break, even though we are an hour into this recording. I do apologise, Amy.
That's fine. There's been a lot of robberies, so I understand it. It's not a problem.
So while we process all of that and Amy can de-phlegm herself.
Yeah.
Oh God, that sounded awful.
No, I mean, it's exactly right. I'm going to have to go and blow my nose. Yeah.
We'll be back in just a few minutes. So, welcome back to this week's episode. We both are you kind of dig Scott Scurlock at the moment. Like, from an outside point of view, I said to Amy, I think if I was working with him, I probably wouldn't particularly like him, or I'd get very, very frustrated with him. But he seems like a kind of a debonair, suave, cool character at the moment.
Yeah. I think if he came into a bar that I was in, so I was patronising, and he came up to me at the bar and was like, "So, I live in a treehouse," I'd be like, "Okay." And then he was like, "I'm into drugs," I'd be like, "Oh,
but I also rob
okay.
banks.
Here we go." And then he was like, "No, I'll rob banks." I'd be like, interesting.
It would be like,
and let me tell you something, honey.
It would be like,
that's impressive. I've robbed the same one 3 times.
Yeah, that's it.
Then I'd be like, no, you're clearly insane.
You'll be like the like Leo DiCaprio in Django, where it's like, at first you had my curiosity, now you have my attention.
Yeah, he definitely sounds like a character. It's just, he sounds like he just has a lack of commitment to an idea. He's like,
Yeah.
I'm going to be a doctor. I'm going to sell weed. I'm going to sell meth. No, I'm going to rob banks. Like, okay, Scott, chill. You know,
it's quite
whatever you want.
It's quite the resume. His CV must be a very interesting read. Very, very interesting.
I mean,
what is your prior work experience?
Yeah,
well,
because he hasn't got a genuine CV. His CV probably just says, tried to be a doctor, didn't. And then that's it. Because what else is there?
Yeah.
Live in a treehouse. I have experience building a treehouse.
I have farming experience. I have cooking experience.
Yeah.
You can't forget that he also has got a very good knowledge of the interior of bank vaults.
Yes, that's
so,
true.
You know, if you applied to work in a bank, you could be like, I know how the bank vault works. I know how to open it. I know how to get around it. And then obviously when they're like, how do you know that? Obviously he would have to be like, well, that's too many questions, isn't it? Like, chill, come on.
It's like at the end of Catch Me
What's with all these questions?
where Frank Abagnale Jr. goes to work for the FBI. He could just turn it around that way.
Yeah.
Here's how to make your banks better.
So let's get stuck into part 2, and talk about the final part of Scurlock's career as a bank robber. Okay. So, a number of law enforcement agencies by this point had made catching the Hollywood Bandit their top priority. With this knowledge, the FBI started assigning agents to banks that Hollywood had previously robbed on dates that corresponded to his spending patterns. A $50,000 reward was also offered for information leading to the bandit's capture. By 1995, Scurlock had pilfered more than $1 million from various banks, and he didn't seem to be planning on stopping anytime soon. So Scurlock would once again recruit Steve Myers, who would stay on the outside as a lookout for the next heist. But he would also bring back Mark Biggins, who had a quite wild change of heart. Obviously, he's like, I know how to start the car without flooding the engine now. I can be a help.
Yeah, because it went so well the first time.
Yeah, exactly. So Mark Biggins would aid with crowd control inside the bank for the next heist. The group broke into the First Interstate branch in Wedgwood on January the 25th, 1996, and made off with $141,405. But Scurlock would attack the First Interstate Bank branch in Madison Park yet again on May the 22nd, 1996, and got away with $114,978. This was not sufficient to quench the thirst for wealth and excitement that Scott Scurlock would have. So he made the decision to rob 3 banks in a single day.
Hot.
Likely realizing that this would be quite the feat and probably very unrealistic, he decided that 1 bank was a bit more achievable.
Not so hot.
I mean, fair enough. Like, fair enough. 3 banks in a single day. If you think you can do that, more power to you. And even I would be like, you know what? That's pretty damn. That's giving me those feels, but also I think that's not particularly realistic to rob 3 banks in a day. I mean, maybe would it?
I don't know. It's quite quick.
I don't know.
if you could get 3 in like
Yeah.
a relatively close proximity that aren't going to be too
Yeah.
much of a drive between each bank, you could go in. I've got a shooter. Give me your money. Done. In the car. On to the next one. I've got a shooter. Give me your money. Done. Into the car. On to the next one.
Yeah.
I've got a shooter.
True.
Give me your money. I mean, I know I'm saying it very quickly, but realistically, like, it is doable, but maybe not safely in the sense that you wouldn't get caught. Like,
No.
you might want to just, you need to change cars between.
Yeah.
Maybe. And that takes time. So, is it doable? Yes. Is it efficient? Probably not.
No.
And that's what
Scott's
I look for in my bank robbers.
Scott's like-
efficiency.
Efficiency. I mean, he was efficient. He was very quick at getting in the bank and getting out. Like, around 5 minutes most of the time, he was in and out of a bank. So he worked fast. But you would have to be extremely efficient. I can see Scott being like the yin, and then like Myers, and his accomplices being like the yang, where Scott like puts these grand plans together, and then his cohorts are just like, okay, let's bring this down a little bit.
We're just going to reel you in there.
Just going to pull this back a little bit, Scott. Like, you need to calm down.
Just relax. Yes,
chill.
you're very good at bank robbing, all right? We're not denying that. But I think you just need to bring some of that creativity back in. Get a little healthy dose of logistics, and we'll get all back on track here.
That's it. You're losing sight of the main goal, Scott.
Which is not getting caught, you fucking moron.
Scott Scurlock and his accomplices had robbed 17 banks in 4 years by mid-1996, which is pretty good going. However, Scurlock's profession obviously included quite a lot of risks, which would become abruptly evident during the final bank heist that he would pull off. So, on November the 27th, 1996, Scurlock and Higgins would enter the Sea First Bank, with Myers lingering nearby in a getaway vehicle. The minute the two entered the bank, a teller who had been briefed about the heavily disguised robber would hit the silent alarm. Everyone was made to lie down on the floor by the thieves, and Scurlock and the head teller went into the vault together and stuffed the bags full of cash as Biggins held them at gunpoint. So held the people on the floor at gunpoint. Mm-hmm. In 4 minutes, the criminals had gone in the bank, got their money, and had left, and were calmly strolling down the street. Unfortunately for them, a bank customer had not followed directions and had followed them discreetly and called 911 to report their car. Ooh dear. Officers would descend upon the neighborhood, and even though Scurlock and his cronies traded in the getaway car for a white van, they were soon being followed by officers who were trained to track suspicious vehicles. Scurlock would drive calmly south while Myers and Biggins started digging through the money on the van floor, searching for tracking devices. As soon as Scurlock realized that he was being followed, he, in quite a bizarre move, at least I was like, that's quite odd why you would do that. He would pull the van over and did something that he had never done before. He would get out and point his gun with the intention to shoot it. Unluckily for Scott, the gun would jam.
Oh dear. That's embarrassing.
In a way, that made me chuckle because I was like, he's never used a gun in any of his robberies.
Yeah.
And the one time he gets out the car and points it at someone to shoot it, it jams.
Yeah. That's got to be escalating, hasn't it?
Yeah.
That's got to make you feel a bit, oh man.
I would be so annoyed. I'd be like, for fuck's sake, really? Now.
Now. This is when you choose to do this to me. Thank you so much. This was going to be one of the coolest moments of my criminal career, and you've just fucked it for me. And everyone's seen it. There's no going back.
Yeah.
I'm going to be talking about this to my therapist for fucking years now. Thanks.
Exactly. Like, I'm pumping away and nothing's happening.
This took a turn.
He had a shotgun, so...
Oh, yeah. You really have to pump those things.
So, the van would obviously speed away again after the officers had fired multiple shots at it, because Scott Scurlock's one time that he was going to use his gun went pretty badly. Yeah, exactly. The van would come to a stop after a few more blocks, and this time Myers would exit the side door with a shotgun and open fire. The officers would once again return fire, and once again, the van sped away. They were like, okay.
Good.
Third time's the charm, guys. Yeah. Next time. It's fine. We'll do it next time. It's good. It's all going to work out. I just picture, like, the van going one block, stopping, one of them coming out.
Bang, bang, bang.
Being like, fuck you, coppers. And then the coppers just absolutely annihilate them with bullets. And they're like, fuck. Okay, we'll go one more block and we're going to repeat this and it's going to work. And then they do it again. And they're like, okay, we'll go one more block and then we'll try this again.
Like, they must be running out of bullets. Stick your head out and find out. Bang, bang. Nope, they're good. They've still got bullets. Keep going. One more block.
Someone's like, Myers sticks his head out and like a bullet like takes off the fucking wind mirror. And he's just like, okay, guys, let's not stop now. Let's carry on going.
Yeah, drive a bit
Now's
more.
Not a good time.
Just a smidge more.
So the van, after their a few failed attempts at stopping and them getting out and failing in a firefight with the popo, the van would eventually crash into the side of a house.
Okay.
Biggins and Myers would be found in the van, obviously quite severely injured, with more than $1 million spread out over the floor, in addition to weapons, makeup, clothing, and obviously a fair amount of blood. However, what about Scurlock? Scurlock wasn't found in the van. Police searched the area thoroughly, but were unable to locate Scott Scurlock.
Okay.
Since, obviously, Scott Scurlock was on the run at this point, the police surrounded the area where he had disappeared with a 6-block cordon. With the goal of apprehending the Hollywood Bandit, the police and canine units would start to patrol the area. 2 streets away from the house that the van struck was the home of Robert and Ronald. Ronald? Oh my god, I did a Jonathan Ross impression.
It sounded like Lavender from Harry Potter. My 1-1.
Robert and Ronald, not Ronald.
1-1
Walker.
1-1 Walker.
1-1 Walker. 2 brothers who were having Thanksgiving dinner with their mother, Wilma Walker, the following day.
That's nice.
On her land, Wilma had a 10-foot camper. And
As you do.
the brothers had a feeling that someone may be hiding in the camper after learning about the manhunt for the Hollywood Bandit, and when they would see that the top window of the camper was open. Very Breaking Bad. I'm picturing the camper from Breaking Bad right now.
Yeah.
The suspicions of the brothers were correct, and inside the camper was the pesky Hollywood Bandit himself. The brothers retreated, and Ronald dialed 911 to reach the emergency dispatch center, while Robert would keep an eye on the camper. A few minutes later, numerous Seattle police cars would pull up and the camper was surrounded. Scurlock had finally been cornered and had absolutely nowhere to go. Sergeant Howard Monta attempted but was unable to get a response from the person inside as patrol officers positioned themselves defensively. Finally, he pried a window open and emptied 2 canisters of capsicum pepper spray into the interior.
Yeah.
Brutal.
Not fun.
Yeah, absolutely brutal stuff. In order to appease the Walker family, Sergeant Howard Monta would walk over to the camper, even though the police were certain that no one was inside. However, the police were wrong, and that's because when he had begun to look into the camper with the flashlight, a gunshot would ring out. Monta thought that he himself had been shot, and in response, the officers would absolutely pelt the camper with bullets. I think they fired over 30 rounds.
Shit.
At
How
the
do
camper.
you think you've been shot? I'm sorry, but if you've been shot, you fucking know. Like, ow, that hurt. I've been shot.
I don't know.
In comparison to, I feel okay and I haven't felt any searing, burning pain, but I might have been shot, so we'll just go with it.
Do you reckon it was? So, oh God, I think I've been shot. And they're like, look, you're not getting out of going inside the camper, Sergeant.
Yeah, just go.
Just stop. Just go.
Man up. Get in there.
It's like, God. So, damn.
Shit.
So, after around 4 hours of nothing happening, the police would enter the camper and they would find the prone figure of Scott Scurlock, who had killed himself with a self-inflicted gunshot wound. So the gunshot that Sergeant Monta had heard was obviously, in fact, Scott Scurlock shooting himself. And that was how the career of Scott Scurlock would come to a close by a self-inflicted bullet in a camper. On Thanksgiving Day, the FBI executed a federal search warrant on Scurlock's home and property in Olympia. Also, I loved that they were like, served a search warrant on Scurlock's home, which is a 3-story treehouse. That's just funny to me.
We need to look in this treehouse. I've got to see this shit. We're not even looking for anything. I just got to get inside.
I bet, I'm not going to lie, like, part of me thinks, like, you're right, part of me thinks they had no intention of actually searching. They were just like,
no,
I want to see this massive fuck-off treehouse that he's been living in.
Absolutely, I would.
A stockpile of weapons, which comprised handguns, a silencer, multiple rifles, 2 short-off shotguns, and an ample supply of ammunition, was found. Along with this, they would find more than $200,000 in cash. The agents also found passports, airline tickets, police frequency scanners, and portable 2-way radios. They also discovered a hidden compartment beneath the barn's floor where Scurlock counted the loot, put on makeup, and kept his various disguises. So they turned up quite a lot. I think they had their man.
So it's just a little tiny bit of evidence.
On December the 2nd, 1996, Steve Mayers and Mark Biggins were charged in absentia. How is that pronounced?
Yep.
Absentia. Thank you. In Seattle District Court on charges of attempted murder of police officers and armed robbery, both of which are state offences. Judge Darcy C. Goodman would set the bail for each of them at $1 million.
$1 billion? Fuck.
$1 billion. It's more than $1 million.
It's more than
It's
a
a
million.
dillion.
It's more than a billion. It's more than a trillion. It's $1 dillion.
It's $1 dillion.
Yeah.
The dastardly dillions.
That's a dillion.
Myers and Biggins would enter guilty pleas. I mean, I don't know. Don't really think you could enter a not guilty on the
No, not on this occasion.
on this occasion. No. So they pled guilty to 1 count of conspiracy, 1 count of armed bank robbery, 2 counts of assault on a federal officer, and 1 count of using a firearm in the commission of a felony on February the 27th, 1997. That's quite the charge sheet, that. The 2 would receive a sentence that was at the low end of the federal sentencing guidelines. So they would receive 21 years and 3 months in prison, along with an extra 5 years of supervised release. The sentences included an automatic 10 years for using assault weapons when firing upon federal officers. Myers was released from prison in 2013 and is living in New Iberia, Louisiana, while Biggins was released in 2015 and is living in Olympia, Washington. So he was like, I'm not going to move away. I'm just going to go right back to the town that I was robbing banks.
Yeah. Do you reckon he walks past the
Fair
banks
enough.
like, this is awkward? Shit.
He's like, maybe one more. And his inside voice is like, no, don't.
That's
walk
bad
away
idea.
from the bank.
No. This is not wise.
But I need to deposit a check. No, walk away from the bank.
No, just switch to online banking.
Yeah. Open a Monzo account. You won't need a
Yeah.
physical bank.
Yeah.
Not sponsored by Monzo.
I was gonna say, that brings us to our sponsor for this episode, Monzo. No, we're not. But Monzo, if you're listening, hi. Very useful online banking.
And to be fair, if there was any episode that Monzo could sponsor us for, this was perfect.
It would be perfect.
But hey ho. So while the final robbery didn't go the way that Scott Scurlock would have wanted, the 18 bank robberies he carried out in the 4 years that he was active, and the fact that the amount of money he stole from the various banks would total to over $2 million, Scott Scurlock would go down as one of the most prolific bank robbers in the history of the United States. The Hollywood Bandit's criminal career would come to an end in the same vein as a Hollywood crime thriller would, and he would leave behind a story worthy of the big screen. And to be honest, if you're Scott Scurlock, you probably wouldn't have it any other way. And that's our case on the pretty prolific bank robber / meth cook /
Yeah.
could have been doctor / weed farmer /
Slash
Scott
tomato
Scurlock.
farmer.
Smash
Let's not forget
tomato
about
farmer. Yeah, he's a man of many. He's like a Swiss Army knife. He's got
all the
he's got a
prongs.
lot of qualities. Amy, what do you think of our man? What do you think of our Scott?
I think I might have got a little bit of a crush.
She loves a bad boy.
I do love a bad
She
boy.
does.
And, it's just impressive, isn't it? I think it's because it's bank robbery. It's not, and he'd never fired his gun. I think if he was killing people in the bank robberies, I might be a bit more like, come on, Scott, let's not do this.
Yeah,
Let's have a think. But because he was just stealing money, I know there's no such thing as a victimless crime, but I think this pretty much gets close to it. Like, no one's really getting hurt. So that's kind of okay. And then he's a bit cocky. He lives in a tree. Right. Basically, I just get very attracted to the wrong kind of guy. And,
dear.
maybe that's what this is. But yeah, I think I've got a bit of a Scott Scurlock crush. His name has got alliteration. I love that.
It does. It
It
absolutely does.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. No, I was quite sad. It's not often that we get to the end of an episode and you go, and then they killed themselves, and then they died, and I'm like, oh. Most of the time it's like, yeah, fuck yeah, they did. But this time I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
oh no, he died. That's sad.
Yeah.
And that's probably because he
Yeah.
just sounds really cool. Like, he's giving back to environmental charities. Like, obviously not much, but, you know, better than nothing. And yeah, I don't know. I think I quite... Granted, he's a bit old for me. I would have been 7 when he went to prison. So, you know, that opens a whole different can of worms. But
yeah, it does.
if it was, you know, any other way,
So
might have been a bit of a crush.
yeah. He just wanted to live a nice life in his treehouse
Yeah.
on his farm. No, he was a simple man of simple pleasures.
He made some bad choices in the career-wise, but generally, he was a good guy, and it's sad that he decided that he needed to die.
I sent you a picture of him, so I'm quite intrigued to see if you would still have a crush on him.
This has turned into a game of smash or pass. I love it. Oh, hang on. Oh, shit, hang on. Okay, let's have a look. Oh, okay, not what I expected. We've got a bit of a perm going on. I can hardly have a go at people with big hair. I mean, hello. Yeah, no, smash. I think. He looks very at peace in that photo. There's a tree in the photo. He's true to brand. Yeah. Not what I expected, but smash.
Like I said, I can't help but sort of be like, I kind of like him.
Yeah.
You know, I like you said, I think him not killing anyone during his robberies and just using the gun as sort of an intimidation tactic, it's a bit easier to be like, you know, be a bit easier on him. Obviously, you know, if I was working with him to rob banks, I think his sort of just personality would grate.
Yeah, maybe.
And I don't know if I could like rob banks with him without getting extremely frustrated. But yeah, you know, he seems like a very cool character, and you know, obviously we're not sitting here and being like, you know, go and rob banks.
Don't.
Yeah. We're not like being like, this is a good guy, like he's a criminal at the end of the day. But at the same time, you kind of look at him and you're kind of like, oh, he's a bit of a scamp. Yeah. You know, he's a bit of a character. You know, a bit cheeky. I'd probably go, if he was in a bar, I'll probably go and have a drink with him and sit with him. And he'd probably have some amazing stories, to be fair, of his various bank robberies. So, but yes, that was our case, our first bank robber case. I very much enjoyed reading up on this guy. Hopefully, Amy and listeners, you enjoyed hearing about him. He's quite a fun person to talk about, to be honest.
Yeah.
But for the sake of Amy's voice, let's wrap things up. Amy, would you like to see us out?
I would absolutely love to. I'll use my very unattractive and yet somewhat delightful cold voice to wrap up for this episode. Yes, thank you. I had never heard of Scott Scurlock, and I will never be able to not say Scott Sherlock because I just can't. But yeah, he's
it's
a fun
so
character
easily done.
and a good story. I'm pretty sure you did it like twice throughout the episode, but
I probably did.
Doesn't. So thank you for that. Thank you for listening as always, and for joining us. Thank you for persevering through my coughing and wheezing, which I'm sure will come across in the audio, and I'm sure you'll delight in hearing. I apologise. But thank you for persevering through that. If you would like to support us, if you like what we do, then we would love to hear from you. Please do comment on the episodes, go to the Q&A, answer the questions, leave us a like on Instagram or your social media platform of choice. Review the episodes, that always helps us out. You can do that too. All of these things are completely and utterly free and very much appreciated, so please go ahead and do them. If you do feel like slinging us a bit of money for coffee, tea, cold meds, then use the Buy Me a Coffee link. You can drop some money on that. I definitely need them. I'm going through them like jelly beans. So that would be very much appreciated. Next week, we are doing an episode that I haven't decided yet because I don't do things until the last minute. But I promise you, it will be about either true crime and or the macabre. You can guarantee that. And you can take that one to the bank. Just make sure it's not the
What a revelation.
Seacrest branch in Maidenhead, because it'll get robbed. Thank you. And until next time, as always, stay spooky.
Stay spooky. What would you want your moniker to be if you were a bank robber? What would you want the FBI to call you?
Oh God, I feel like I've been conditioned to the point that my brain immediately went backdoor burglar.
I mean, that could be your MO. You could enter the bank through.
I always go in through the back door.
Like, change it up a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I can make that work.
The backdoor burglar strikes again.
Gun goes off too soon. I can make it work. What about you?
Dear.
Have you got one? I feel like you've got one already.
No, I don't know, honestly. No, I was thinking about it when I was outlining it. I was like, what would I want as a moniker for me as a bank robber? And I really don't know. Nothing came to mind. If you could give me one, what would you give? Oh, maybe I shouldn't ask this question. You know what? If you could give me one, what would you give me?
I'll tell you later.
I look forward to it.